Whiskey Friends, far and wide. We are live. Live. It is a Tasty Tuesday, another Tasty Tuesday. There will be many before, but this is the one for July the 5th, 2022. What's up, y'all? I'm Eric, your humble malt muser. Beaming the Whiskey Tube signal from my home city, my grieving city of Chicago, Illinois. We have a good whiskey show set up for everyone tonight. As always, it's a little Glencairn 10 to set the mood, get the palate ready. We got 2 tastings coming up. Like, comment in the chat. Let me know where you're coming from. And make sure you hit that subscription button if you have yet to. It'd be great to have you join the community here. Before we set up the show and let you guys know what's going on around town, let me see who has pointed up to the virtual bar and give them their shout outs. First in the door tonight, our good friend up in Duluth, Minnesota, Mr. French. Hello, guys and gals, beer and far, pouring a glass of you tonight from sweaty Duluth. Yeah, I hear you on that. Although we're supposed to get some storms in here, it's going to cool things down pretty quick in Chicago. Gerbic, Jupiter, Florida. I have a little bay to drink along with tonight. Learn about the distillery I've never had before, and it was not expensive. Great, man. Hope everything's well in Florida. Thank you for joining us. Across the pond, our friend in London town. What's up, James Morgan? Early night for him. We'll catch up later. Sounds good. Well, thanks for popping in and saying hello, James. Appreciate you. Always nice to see you, man. And speaking of James, here's the other one out in Los Angeles. Happy Tasty Tuesday to you, Mr. James Chang. How are things out there in the valley? This is going down nice. First drink in like 5 or 6 days for me, so needed to get the palate warmed up a little bit here. Good weekend, great to hear. Showtime indeed. Chris on the other side of Illinois. We're repping the Quad Cities. How you doing, Chris? Hope you and yours are well. East Texas, balmy East Texas. Figure out what to warm up with. Good to see you, Daniel H. Always nice to have you in the house. Feels like a Monday indeed. Jack the Pickled Hound coming in from NYC. How are things in the Big Apple, my friend? Great to see you. Ontario's here. Peter White. Mr. White. Usual warm-up. Wild Turkey 101. I already drank all my Cleveland. Hey. Nothing wrong with a little 101, man. That's the way to do it. Hey, Paul in Montreal. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. Gray, rainy, wet Montreal. Yeah, well, it's about to be the same thing here in Chicago in just about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We had some storms last night. Apparently, there are more coming in. All right, y'all. Well, we got 9 folks in already, which is awesome, man. It's great to see everybody joining here on a Tasty Tuesday. Let me set things up. First things first. Whiskey review dropping Friday. Amroot Fusion. This one's come pretty requested from some folks. And for some reason, I've had a couple bottles of it, and I never got around to doing a full review. So that is dropping Friday. Patreons, that should be in your Patreon inbox, because you do get one of many of your perks of being a Patreon supporter of the Malt Music channel. You do get yourself some early access to reviews. So that will be dropping in your inbox sometime early tomorrow. Everybody else, that will be out on Friday. I am looking forward to hearing what folks have to say. Pardon me just a second. Just going to adjust this camera a bit. So looking forward to getting that out and hearing what folks have to say tonight. I got 2 whiskeys. Our featured whiskey tonight is an uncorking and unboxing and unveiling, a first-time tasting of Oban, 18 years old. So we're going to be checking that out. And then later in the show, another sample sent over by a good friend of the show, who I hope is doing well, out in Maryland, Mike B sent me a bottle of Caol Ila, 35 part a sample of Caol Ila, 35 years old, from Elixir's Single Malts of Scotland Director's Special line. We'll be getting into that in the second half of the show tonight. I already have both of these poured out, giving them the oxygen that they deserve. Older whiskey, you want to let it have a little bit of time to air out, let the oxygen work its magic. What does Ralphie Mitchell always say? A minute in the glass for a year in the cask. Well, we're going to be hitting that and then some. So, with that, let me just double check in and see what else is going on in the chat, and then we are going to get into Oban, 18 years old. Makers 101 is a warm-up. That's not a bad pour. What's rainy? Yeah, I'm sure it hasn't been too rainy down there in Texas these years. Sorry about that. I cannot believe you've never done Fusion Review. This is one of the most recommended bottles. Yeah, no kidding. It's been a long time coming, I guess. So I'm finally, it's been recorded. It's posted, or it will be posted live relatively soon. I'm excited to get that out. If you haven't figured it out yet, I'm a pretty big fan of that bottle. Okay, let's set things up. So what I have here in the glass, getting its oxygen, is a just opened bottle, a little bit dusty bottle at that. I've had this for over a year. It somehow got pushed into the back, and I never got a chance to open it. This is the Oban, 18 years old. So to get things started tonight, let me tell you a bit about Oban. Oban is a distillery on the western side of the Highland region. It's a very small distillery. I think one of the smallest in terms of its output. 4 washbacks, 2 spirit stills, I think. They don't put out a ton of whiskey. They are owned by Diageo. They have a core range of Oban Little Bay, Oban 18, and the Oban 14. Their style, generally kind of fruity, mildly peaty, which is supposed to be kind of the signature of the Western Highlands. Similar to a whiskey that we tasted last week, if I'm not mistaken. So, Oban, let me tell you a little bit about why this bottle I think is quite special for me. So, if all of you guys remember back your first bottle of scotch that you ever purchased, likely one of two things. It was either a real cheap bottle of whiskey that you just needed for some mixers. Maybe you were throwing this thing up. Let's say your first single malt. Either it was a cheap bottle or you bought something kind of special. It was your gateway in this. Well, Oban Distillery has a special place in my heart for that exact reason. Oban was my first ever purchase of a single malt scotch. It was the 14-year-old Oban. I had tasted it at a friend's house and was completely blown away by it. Normally being a tequila drinker, a bourbon drinker, I really, really loved the taste of the Oban 14. And it had a little bit of peat. It was kind of a little bit of everything. It wasn't too much to put me off of, it wasn't too smoky. Very accessible. I remember recommending it to friends. I was so excited to get to a bar the next time I could before I got the bottle to try it again before I picked that up. And finally bought that bottle. Back when I got it, it was around $55 USD. They're going for a lot more now. Oban's got a place in my heart. I'd love to hear from folks. What was that first bottle of single malt that you bought, if you remember? What was the distillery? What was the bottle? Is it something you still really like? So on and so forth. Love to hear about that in the chat. So Oban 14 was a special bottle for me. Now, the 18 years old is, you can imagine, 4 more years older. Surprise, surprise, we can all do math. The other thing about this bottle, so it is bottled at 43% ABV, so pretty low on the ABV scale. There is a ton of writing on the side, much like the 14 years old. That's pretty much unreadable. It's in almost like cursive. It does not say anything on here that I can read about chill filtration or natural color. So we are going to assume that this is a 43% chill filtered colored whiskey. It does say limited edition on here, which I don't quite understand. I believe this is core range. You can find this all over the place. It runs around $150 USD right now. So this is like I guess kind of standard price for an 18-year-old whiskey. This is what the tube looks like. Very similar to the 14. Small print on the back. Let me see if I can share just a little bit of info here. The extra years of maturation give Oban 18 a mellow, blah, 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 a little bit of taste. Comparing it to the 14, extra maturation comes from a small batch of American oak casks that were selected to mature for 4 more years longer. So this is all American white oak bourbon cask. It is lightly peated. It does not say that on here, but it is lightly peated whiskey. And yeah, nothing on here about color or chill filtration. So there you go. 43%. Chill filtered, yes. Color added, yes. I mean, look at the bottle, right? There you go. That says enough in terms of the color. All ex-bourbon cask, 4 more years old than the 18, goes around, consider around $150 USD, give or take. Let me know in the chat. Again, what was your first, the first bottle of single malt whiskey you got? Do you still remember it? Is it still something that you drink now or no? And if you had the Oban 18, we'd love to hear what you have to say about that. This is the color. So as I said, it's all ex-bourbon cask. That is almost certainly has some color added to it inside itself. We got 12 folks in. Let me catch on the chat real quick, and we will dive into this Oban 18. Hey, Mike B. out in Maryland. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Cheers, buddy. Oban, the original Ron Swanson endorsed brand. There you go. Good to see you, man. I believe my first purchase was the Glenlivet 12. Yeah, maybe Glenmorangie G10. Mike says, don't believe you can get the Oban 18 outside the U.S. That could be true. Not sure about that. Jack the Pickled Hound's first single malt, Glenmo 10, or the Deanston Virgin Oak. Okay, great. Yeah. Good stuff. Hey, Sun Valley out in Arizona. Leo's in the house. What up, Leo? Good to see you, man. I'm glad you're feeling better, man. Yeah. Chris had a Glenmorangie G10 also. Okay, so a lot of Glenmorangie G10, kind of your first bottles. Makes total sense. All right. So we're going to dive into this Oban 10. Now, again, I have not had an Oban in probably at least 2 years, if not longer. I have not bought another bottle of 14, and it wasn't because at the time I did like it. The one I've been looking, I did have a bottle a little bit at one point in time. I think the thing I was looking for was their Distilleries Edition. I just never quite pulled the trigger. It was a Fino cask finish. It's one of those Diageo releases. I never quite bought it, but I was tempted. So it's been a long time since I've had Oban. Unfitting 12 for Leo. There you go. Okay, so let's dive into this 18-year-old Oban. One more time, that is the bottle. This is our featured little whiskey tonight here on the show, man. Happy Tasty Tuesday. Let's dive into this bad boy. On the nose. Does smell, it reminds me a bit of Oban. It's less edgy than the 14. So you're getting a nice kind of sweet, savory, sweet spice to it. Initially, light peat. It's got kind of an herbal note to it. So you're getting a little bit of peat. There's warm apple cinnamon spice here. Some of that orange note as well. Orange citrus. A very kind of sweet, sour, sweet, savory thing going on here. Peeling back the layers a little bit. And that orange note, a little bit of honey, a little bit of chocolate. All in all, a pretty nice mellow nose. Everything seems to be kind of balanced pretty well. Winston the Whiskey Cat has made his appearance. Hello, sir. Let's see if he shows up. He's camera shy right now. He's looking to go up and guard his Freud, so relatively oily. I mean, the color on this is definitely disappointing. Here it is. Oban 18, bud. Yeah. Also some oak notes, wood, fresh cut wood notes. How's it sound to y'all? Well, let's give it a taste. Overall, reasonably complex nose, some good kind of fruit notes, woodiness, savory, spicy. Hey, Salon Shell, happy Tasty Tuesday. Huh. Oh no. Let me try another sip here. It arrives medium body. Ooh. It arrives with a medium viscosity. There is some, again, orange, little hints of peat. Sherry, not sherry. It tastes like there's some sherry, but there's no sherry in this. A bit juicy. As it develops, it dries out considerably, and it isn't just the peat. There's a bit of a sour, bitter note coming in that might just be coming from oak cask. Little vanilla, a little cinnamon, bit of that orange, apple, juicy fruit, slight citrus as it goes into the finish. A little bit of peppermint, medium finish, actually medium short finish. It kind of drops off relatively abruptly here. Boy, I wish I had a 14 to compare this to, but let me do one more neat taste here. The peat is this whiskey kind of falls apart a little bit. It's not harmonious, right? So this peat is very distinct. It's bitter. It's sour. It's kind of oaky. The fruit notes, which I kind of enjoy, are mellow, nicely kind of refined, but they really just fall by the wayside as this takes over. Hints of dark cocoa, slight mintiness on the finish, medium. Again, medium short to medium finish. Honestly, it's kind of boring. There's just not a lot to point to here that makes this really that interesting of whiskey. I almost prefer the 14 from what I recall. This was many years ago. It was, the youth of that whiskey gave it a bit more pizzazz and sprightliness and kind of energy. This, it kind of tastes tired. It kind of tastes languid. Like it's not. It's like a whiskey that needs to be put out to pasture. To put a fine point on it. There's nothing. It's not really coming on as something that like, oh yeah, I can totally see this extra 4 years did a lot. If anything, it's just kind of blurred. It's kind of rounded the edges of a whiskey that probably in hindsight wasn't all that great in the first place, or at least the bottlings that I had, and made it a bit more full flavored, but also a bit more boring. And for the price, I just can't imagine throwing down $150 on this and being satisfied with it. Yeah. Okay, let's try some water and see what happens here. We got 13 folks in, which is great, man. What's up, y'all? I'm just going to put like 3 or 4 drops on here. Obama castrate. Yeah, I never had the GOTV one. Or I never had the Game of Thrones one. We did a cast strength limited release. I didn't know about that. Getting 12 for him. I think it was the last one I had. Daniel was the Night's Watch. Gotcha. Diageo's a way of hanging a dark cloud or even the best. Jack doesn't pull punches, man. You are not lying. Give Sadly, the movie opens are pretty pedestrian. Yeah, this one is not really doing much. I just put some water on it to see what's up. Hey, look who it is. My erstwhile comrade. Do go check out Tulos Don's Insta if you want to see some pics. I got the privilege to go out drinking with the one and only Mr. Swami Suave on Wednesday, along with Scott from my bourbon journey. We met up in Milwaukee and went out for a while. Great to see you, Swami. I'm assuming you are back home, brother. Thanks for stopping in, and great times, man. Would love to do it again sometime. Good to see you. All right, so the water's on this. I'm getting more oak. Fuck yeah, man. Seriously. We had a real good time. So the water's on this now, and again, I'm getting more oak, more fresh cut wood. Look at that kind of burnt orange. Juicy, still a little bit. I don't know. This whiskey is kind of boring, man. He made it home alive. Good. Okay. That citrus is gone. The peat's even mellower. The nose, again, mellow, chill. Let's see. Okay. Vanilla, dried fruit, some cinnamon spice, orange citrus, hint of mint on the back end. Finishes a little bit longer, but not even that much better. This is a pretty disappointing jam, I'll tell you right now. Yeah, that finish it just drops off too damn fast, man. Nash, Tennessee's in the house. Stephen Connor, what up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Boy, yeah, I'll be honest with y'all, man. This is one of the more disappointing 18-year-old whiskeys. I would have at least expected a decent fucking finish on this, but it tastes a bit tired, a la Glenfarclas. It's bottled at Glenfarclas strength, even at the age, 43%. I'll be honest. I think the Little Bay is better than this 18, and I think the Little Bay is probably better than the 14, though it's been a long time. So at $150, man, I can't recommend the Oban 18 at all. This is a tired whiskey that is gasping for relevance, and I just can't quite figure out. They did nothing interesting with it. It's 43%. It's chill filtered. It's fake colored. It's just another one of these boring Diageo whiskey. I'm not saying they're all boring, but this is by far one of the weakest whiskeys at 18 years old. And I don't mean weak in strength. I mean weak in just like complexity and enjoyment and what's interesting. It's like, yeah, it's really quite a bummer. I mean, it's not like a drain pour, but at $150 average USD now, 130, 140, maybe if you're lucky, hard pass on it. Get the 14. It's at least got more energy. It's just, honestly, the Glenlivet 18 before it went to 40% blew this out of the water. Do better, Oban. 2.5, which means, I definitely recommend you try this. In fact, I'd go even lower on 2.2. It's just, man, I sat on this for a hot minute too. I can't see a scenario where I'm going to want to pick this up and drink it. Like, oh man, you got to try this 18-year-old Oban. Freaking crap. I haven't had an Oban 14 in years. And it was my first single malt that I ever bought. So, there's all that. Swami, when we were drinking on Wednesday, where Did we drink any scotch? I don't even remember. When we were hobnobbing around Milwaukee with Steve from Bourbon Journey or Scott from Bourbon Journey, I think we had a couple concoctions, man. Yeah, somebody says it's always boring. Yeah, man. Seriously, this one's more boring than the 14 and the. I don't really understand this. No, we just had bourbon. I'm surprised you remember. Hey, Bending Hunter. Yeah, that's what we're looking at. Hey, Stephen Connor says mummies are Oban 35. No, it's not that. We're going to get into it in about 10 minutes, if not less. It's not that one. Yeah, this is a real bummer, man. I mean, I'll be honest, there's nothing to write home about. There's a lot to love about Oban's story. I can't say there's a lot to love about their whiskey. It's a quaint little distillery, western part of Scotland, all of this, blah, blah, and small output. But their 18-year-old whiskey is, especially in prices these days, I wouldn't pay over $90 for this. So with the price in consideration, man, I gotta say this is a big miss, man. 2.25. Anybody else had this one? Mike B says thumb down. Yeah, right. And for what reason? It's not like there's some big marketed whiskey that like everybody's gonna know about. Maybe some oxygen in the bottle will do some. I don't know. I'll do a full review of it eventually. Yeah, I could live without this. Here's the thing. There's just so many other drams out there at even much lower price that are doing what this whiskey is doing. Way that. I mean, give me a Glenallachie 12 all day over this. There's nothing really that unique about it. The peat, which is the thing that I liked about the 14 with water, is almost so diminished on here. The palate is kind of a mess. If you poured this for somebody neat, I think they would think this was a much younger whiskey. It drinks younger than it is. Yeah, real bummer. Oh, well. This is why we waste our money on bottles that we've never tried before. Ah! Let's move along. We got 17 folks in the house. What up, y'all? We just got done drinking this really boring Oban 18. I don't recommend it. But we got something else to do. So we're going to move along. I got a bottle of Glencairn that's been sitting for like an hour at least. And this is Caol Ila 35. This sample was sent to me generously by our good friend in Maryland, recovering from a wee bit of a biking accident, man. I am glad to hear things are going well in your recovery. Mike B. So Mike sent this my way. This is from the Single Malts of Scotland's Director Special line. This is their own bottling. This is Single Malts of Scotland from Elixir. This is bottled at 50.9% ABV. It's a 35-year-old Caol Ila. As we've been talking about on and off for months now, man, if you're going to buy Caol Ila, you buy it independent. With the rare exception of if you get a good deal on some of the standard line stuff. Their 12-year-old is pretty forgettable, especially at the upwards of $80 they're asking for now, only 43%. Their 18 I thought was somewhat underwhelming. Not Oban 18 underwhelming, but somewhat underwhelming. And their 25, while is okay, it's pretty good. You just want a bit more punch to it. Conversely, I got a bunch of independent bottled Caol Ilas. We've been talking about them over time. All of them have been, for the most part, stellar. If you want to get a young, good, high-quality peated whiskey without color, without chip filtration, high ABV, go into your local liquor store odds are there's an independent bottled Caol Ila sitting on the shelf waiting for you at 12 years old, 13 years old, 8 years old, 11 years old, probably around $60, and it's going to give you a lot of punch. Maybe you'll find one of those sherry casks. So we're continuing that tradition here, and we're going to be checking out a 35-year-old Caol Ila. Again, Mike B, man, thank you so much for this sample. Can't wait to dive into this. Ooh, that's not good to hear. Bummer, man. I'm about to crack something interesting. Kings County. Kings County, like Seattle? Barrel strength batch, New York. Maybe I should read 5 more words. These releases are really very good. I've never had any of them. Vince and the Whiskey Cat, what about you? All right. Taking the cap off. Look at this. Still can't find a gem piece. Okay, here we go. That's the color. I'm not even going to, I'm assuming that this is a natural color. I do not know what this has been aged in. I'm going to guess ex-bourbon, ex-sherry cask, but I don't know. 35-year-old Caol Ila single malts of Scotland. On the nose, let's check it out. Thank you, Mike B. Oh, man. Pepper. Fresh. There's fruit. There's wood. Oh man, there's smoked meat, like a smoked ham or something like that. There's a nice kind of seashell, whatever the hell you call it, sodium. There's a salty sodium briny note. Ooh, it's punchy. Yeah, this is all over the place, man. There's so much going on here. Herbal, vegetal. This is spanning the spectrum. The only thing I would say this whiskey is not is elegant. It's smoky, it's fruity, it's spicy. Wow. There's a nice creamy caramel note to this. I'm assuming, like I said, guaranteed ex-bourbon cask in this. I don't know if it's full ex-bourbon. It's really hard to tell with these older whiskeys like this because that fruit note starts becoming very tropical, even in some of the sherry casks. Oh, he's got a couple. Oh, nice, man. Okay, well, I'm eating your guinea pig here again, brother. I don't even know where to go with this. I'm even getting like a caramel corn toffee note. There's just so much happening. Okay, here we go. I have to state this one more time. The oak note on this, man, is like so warmed over. It's so complimentary and not even distinct that it's subtle and you pick up it. And I'm not saying oak notes are bad, but the way it's working in here, where it's not overpowering anything, it's the peat. Like this is a well-aged whiskey that is good cats. There we go. 35-year-old Caol Ila, Mike B. Thank you for this sample. Single malts of Scotland. Director's Special 50.9%. I believe 150 bottles of this, something like that. Well, this Caol Ila I've had. Let's do it. It's lunch. Wow. Wow. Punchier than I expected. Boy, let me just tell you about the mouthfeel on this. Just one taste neat. In sharp contrast to the pathetic Oban 18 we were just sipping on. This is rich, full flavor, but it's not super viscous. It's got full flavor, but it's not overpowering anyway. In fact, I would argue that it drinks at a very good sipping level. I mean, it doesn't drink like a 50%, 51% ABV. Ton of ripe fruit, candy, like raisin, fig kind of stuff. There's melon, tropical fruit, very expected from bourbon cask whiskey at 35 years old, at least in my experience. The peat hits really strong. Again, balancing really well with this oak cask. You're getting some chocolate notes. You got a nice kind of wet wood campfire thing going on. Peppery, medium finish, medium long maybe. There's so much going on. I gotta do this. Fuck. That is. This is a neat sipper for sure. I can't imagine water's going to do anything but harm to this. Great pour, Mike. Thank you for this sample. This is really delicious. I don't know how much a bottle of this goes for. I mean, it's, you know, for me, it's not like a world beater, but let me just take a quick look at it. But this is an impressive whiskey. You know, just now I haven't given it its full time, but just to contrast this, I want to try something really quick. I'm going to do this side by side with this is the 25-year-old. This is the distillery release, 43%, blah, blah. Again, not a bad bottle, but I just to note the difference that I was kind of pulling on your coats about. They killed this fucking Oban 18. Don't buy Oban 18. Okay. So again, this is the 25-year-old. Again, this is going to be chill filtered, likely, fake color, likely, 43%. 25-year-old Caol Ila. I mean, God, could there be any more? Okay. So just to do this 25-year-old Caol Ila on the side of it, like, this 35 again. Okay, so just to be completely clear, I mean, this is over $1,000 according to Whiskey Base, so I can understand. But an exercise in contrast is worth it here. This 25 smells much, much fresher, much more citric. The tropical fruit is there. Still a surprisingly rich whiskey for only 43%. For 40, yeah. It doesn't even hold a candle to this. I mean, the richness and the viscosity on this 35 is just otherworldly comparatively. The peat tastes similar, but it really embarrasses this 25. I would love to try a 35 from the distillery if they exist, but as it stands, we'll try a little bit of water on this just to see. But boy, this 25 is embarrassing compared to this. Thanks, Mike. Now what am I gonna do with all this? Right. Hey, Dustin's in the house. What up, man? Top D. Be sure to go sub their channel, Top Shelf Whiskey, if you've yet to. Yeah, I would love to get my hands on that. Undefeated 18. I saw a bottle of that recently in the wild. I wasn't sure if I should buy it. I have a 15. Some other folks want some Caol Ila through. And Demon Honor. Yeah, don't bother. I really don't think you should bother unless you find it at a stupid deal. And even if you find a good deal on the 12, I still don't think you should bother. I think the Caol Ila 12 is really, really not a good whiskey. Wow. Okay, so the water. The water's bringing out more of that classic Caol Ila, slightly grassy, slightly lemon, citric, fresh. But the warm kind of density of that oak cask is still right behind it. What a fabulous whiskey this is. Vanilla, butterscotch, toffee notes. This is over. This is a 4.25 whiskey for sure. Obviously, the price is. There's only 144 bottles of this, so it's almost comical to put a score on it. Mike B, man, thank you. I mean, this is one of those whiskeys that it's so old. This is probably the oldest peated whiskey I've ever had. And at 35 years old, it's so old that the typical Islay nature, peat forward, aggressive, smoky whiskey, it's gotten to the point where it's so delicate and so good with the cask that it's something completely its own thing, right? I mean, it's not obviously Islay to me. It's not obviously a heavily peated whiskey. Back to the 25, just for shits and giggles here. Still a nice nose. Just so much thinner. Just it has a nice complexity to it. God, such a thinner, more boring delivery. Again, the price difference between these two is astronomical. So I can't say you should save your pennies and spend $1,000 on a independent bottle of Caol Ila. Excuse me. Boy, it does show. Yeah, this is getting like a 4.25 range for sure, man. Thank you, Mike B. I really appreciate this sample. Excuse me. This sample. And that leaves us just with the Irish Single Malt 24-year-old whiskey agency bottle as the last of the samples that were sent to us by Mike. So again, yeah, thank you so much, man. These have been a really, really nice samples that you sent me. I really enjoyed tasting them. I still have a bit of that Dream Cask Red Breast 32 that I'll be saving for another date. If you want to see how that went, you can check it. There's a link in the archive probably a couple weeks back where we did the Red Breast 32 Dreamcast, the 27, the 21. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, other than the Dreamcast, I'm just taking most of these down. Really nice dram. There you go. So just to recap, our featured bottle tonight, Oban 18. Quite a disappointment by I think anybody's standards. I do not recommend this at the price at all. 2.25 out of 5 on the Oban 18, and at the price of $140 some dollars, $150 average, hard pass on that one. This Caol Ila 35 is stellar whiskey, probably the best Caol Ila I've ever had, if not the best older peated whiskey I've had. Delicious stuff. 4.25. It compares very strongly with the somewhat diminished in its accolades Caol Ila 25 at this point, which I will finish now. So just to remind folks, Amroot Fusion review dropping Friday. Patreons, you can stick that in your email inbox. Excited to get that out to folks. And with that, we are going to switch gears. It's free for all time, man. It's time for the fun half, as it were. Basically, I'm open to do drink anything. I have to finish this Caol Ila 25, but other than that, we got nothing left to program. So I'm thinking, maybe we continue with the Caol Ilas. What I got here is an Adelphi Caol Ila. This is a 12-year-old fully first fill Oloroso sherry Caol Ila. Bottled at 53% ABV. And a nice peated Caol Ila with sherry can go a long way in my book. So we'll check this out. Oof. I was like, oh, what's this boring whiskey? Oh, it's the Oban 18. This is out of here. I'm gonna have to bottle up a couple samples or some. maybe some other people will find something in it that I don't. That's a boring whiskey. All right. Let's pour some of this bad boy. I mean, just look at the beautiful color on this. That's a 12-year-old Caol Ila. This was maybe $25. I think this was $90. $25 more than the aforementioned. No, this was closer to $100. So $20 more than the $80 they're asking for Caol Ila 12 these days in the States. And you could get a Caol Ila. That's 53% full sherry. I guarantee this is going to be. I mean, look at this. This will put the 25-year-old to shame, I'm sure. I mean, look, when it comes to peated whiskey, I tend to, and I'm increasingly leaning towards more just like younger, much more blunt whiskeys than some of these older ones that are trying to be, they have a little bit more subtlety and sophistication. I don't, it's not that I don't appreciate it. I just think I generally find that I don't reach for it as much. Like if I want a peated whiskey, I want something strong and punchy. I'm not interested as much in like a more refined, relaxed peated whiskey experience. That's just me. Some folks, I'm sure, feel otherwise. So, you can do something with like a older kind of just sherry cask unpeated. Now that's more interesting. The peatedness doesn't fit. So give me like an old, give me a Glenmorangie 25 and a Lefroy 10 cask strength versus a Lefroy 25 and a Glenmorangie 10. I guess that's kind of just how I enjoy it the most. I think there's still a lot to be learned and interesting, like subtleties that you pick up on by trying some of these older peated whiskeys. But generally, for the price, I don't enjoy them as much as I do older unpeated whiskeys, and I think that's strictly because. Again, I think what I like in a heavily peated whiskey is different than what I like in like a heavily peated, punchy whiskey, which is why I think I love Lefroy Thin Cask Strength so much, because it really brings everything I think you could want in a whiskey into one bottle. I mean, you have, first of all, you have cask strength. Second of all, you have youth. Heavy, punchy. Third, there's an age statement, and it has complexity. Each batch is different. There's a lot to explore in it. I think it just hits the nail on the head. Not so much the case with some of these other ones. Okay, so here we go with this Caol Ila. I think we drank this a while back. It's been a minute since I've had any, as you can see, evidence by the bottle. I know there's some boys drinking Caol Ila tonight. Top D, Stephen Connor, Mike B, Peter White, all with Caol Ilas in handed blue. Ben Demon Hunter too, I think. Hey, Mike Myers in the house. What up, Mike? Good to see you, man. If you didn't catch the beginning of the show, don't buy Oban 18. Just gonna throw it on out there. Okay, so here we go. Caol Ila, this is Adelphi selection. Caol Ila, 53% ABV, first fill, Oloroso sherry hogsheads. Bada bing, bada boom. That is exactly what you want. Rich, the first fill sherry nature of it. And Peter White was drinking it too. The first fill nature of it brings a ton of cask influence, but it's still young enough that that heavy peated, youthful malt is can't be denied. And you just get this incredible, aggressive, intense whiskey. Fabulous stuff. I think this is around $110. You may still be able to find this for versions of it. If you're in the States, especially, I recommend you look there. A lot of the Caol Ila independent bottlings are bourbon casks. Go back. Back to the 25. Oh, it's still good. It's just not. I mean, after having that 35 mic, it doesn't quite live up to the hype. This 25 is like, if you lined up a Lagavulin 25, an Ardbeg 25, a Lafroig 25, a Port Charlotte 25, and a Caol Ila 25, fuck, even a Bowmore 25, there's just no doubt in my mind that this Caol Ila 25 would be near the bottom of the last one. Maybe it beats the Bowmore. You know, to this day, I have not reviewed a Bowmore on this channel. I'm actually thinking maybe next week. So I want to show you guys something that I found a while back. Maybe it's time that we open this. So what I got here is a Bowmore, 18 years old. It's part of the Vintners trilogy. It is a Manzanilla cask, 52.5% ABV. So maybe it's time I do a Bowmore review and open this up. The other option for next week, where did I put it now, is this one, the Ben Rummick 10 Curiosities, which I was able to get my hands on finally. Or I'm sorry, the Ben Riach. We all know I am a huge fan of Ben Riach. Unopened, I would compare this with the new Ben Riach Smoky 10, which is like their latest release. I'm assuming is similar to this. So it's Ben Riach or it's Bowmore. A third option, and where the hell is it? What did I do with it? I don't know what I did with it. So maybe it's just those two. So I'm going to do one of those two next week. Either we'll do the Ben Riach Curiosities or we'll check out this Bowmore 18. I again, to this day, I have not done a Bowmore. I've had Bowmore. I can't say I've found any that I absolutely loved. And I'm gonna say I've not met many people that have. Bowmore is one of those things that you have to find either really old bottles of, or you have to get really heavily aged bottles. They're a regular 10, 12, or I'm sorry, the regular 12 and stuff, just pedestrian best. The Caol Ila 12 from the distillery is much better. I pass on the Bowmore 21 Aston Martin because it was taters and stuff. Yeah, Peter White, definitely. Yeah, there's a couple bottles in this Vintner trilogy. There's like a 26-year-old French oak. Speaking of, has anybody had the Balvenie 16 French oak yet? Yeah, there's a couple bottles within the series. It looked good. I mean, come on, at 18 years old, it was sub $200. 18 years old at 52% ABV. It's hard to pass up, even if they're more pricey. Next, Top Shelf Dustin says, up on Chop Shop Whiskey on that 60. Up on. Oh, you did a review of it. Okay, great. I'll have to check that out. I do have a bottle. I really like. I mean, Balvenie, I think, is one of my favorite distilleries in terms of just their straight up malt. Their malt is just delicious. They don't always do amazing stuff with it, but the malt is really delicious. If you like a good peated whiskey, I'm telling you, it costs a little bit of money, but it's worth it. The Balvenie 14 Week of Peat is stellar freaking dram. It is one that I've noticed has made, not the Peat Week, but the Week of Peat, since they changed the name, has been somewhat consistent in its quality. It's a 375 to 4 whiskey for sure, $90. I highly recommend folks buy it. And their sherry casks are getting a little outrageous in the price. And you got to be careful which ones you buy. You got to look at the bottle. You can't just grab it off the shelf, because some are first fill and some are not, and they do not tell you, which is weird. But generally speaking, I like Balvenie a lot. And the French oak is a 16-year-old, and I haven't opened it yet. And maybe I should get into that soon. Supper time with the fam. Ben Demon Hunter, man, great to see you, buddy. Keep it good up in Alberta. 15. Here we go. Yeah. That's curious. I'll check it out. Diageo did a couple special release cast strength Caol Ila 25s. They were fine, but nowhere near the. Okay. Yeah, that's not surprising, I guess. Good to know, Steven. Yeah, that's the thing, man. I'll tell you right now, this Adelphi, I mean, this was like $100. This is Adelphi Sherry Cask. It's fucking phenomenal. I would put this up against most Caol Ilas. I think I saw somebody mentioned I should get the unpeated 18. I think I saw a bottle of it for like 140. Worth it? I have a 15. But let me see. I'll get some of those too. That's good to know, man. Has anybody had the Caol Ila Distillers Edition? I think it's a Muscatel. Oh, I will. Fair enough, brother. Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out. Thank you. Yeah, dude, it's not great here either, which is sad. I think I've seen. I mean, any of the like special bottles, like they just did the, what is it, like the second rose or whatever it's called. It's like $1,000. Most of them are out of price range. Mostly because I just don't find that they're worth. I don't find that the heavily aged ones that I've had, and I got a couple. I got some Balvenie tons. I got the 21 single barrel, etc., etc. I mean, they're good, but I don't know if they're $300 whiskeys. My benchmark, and maybe it's an irrational benchmark, but my benchmark of like what's a $300 whiskey? It's like, or a $400 whiskey is like Brook Lottie Blackheart. If you can't live up close to the level of a Blackheart, then why am I paying? Thanks a lot, Jim McCune. You ruined me. Definitely. Unpeated 18. It's fair enough. I've been. It's better than. Mike Weiss is the unpeated quiz. Okay. Good to know. All right. It's sitting on the dusty shelf at a place not far from me here in Chicago. I have to swing on over there and snag it up. I've been walking in there for a few months and I keep seeing it. I go in to do my rounds, check if they got anything new, and I'm like, oh, it's still sitting there. Should we buy that? You guys know how it goes. Yeah, it's crazy. Really? We should. I'm not host for that. It would really depend which album it's on. All right, y'all. I'm gonna wrap things up. Amber Fusion review is dropping Friday. Patreons, it'll be in your inbox tomorrow, man. Good to hang out. Just to recap, Oban 18 is pretty lame. Don't buy it. 2.25 for me. Try it definitely before you buy it. Again, generous sample. Thank you. 35 with Caol Ila from our good friend Mike B out in Maryland. Glad you are getting healthier, my friend. And again, I deeply appreciate the sample. We'll see. I'm gonna figure out what next week's gonna look like. I'll put it up on the channel as relatively soon. But until then, man, y'all stay safe. Seriously, be well, man, and treat y'all, neighbors, your friends, a little extra kindness, man. Especially if you're in the United States. rough holiday weekend. In a rough year, in a rough decade, in a rough multiple decades. Especially here in Chicago. With the stuff up in Highland, not more than about 30 miles per hour. Yeah, with that, let's not get too deep into it, but seriously, freaking crazy. I'm going to go the rest of this spring. I'm great now. It's next week on Tuesday.